In this video, we'll be going over how to add and edit property records for your listing. To get started with this process, I'm just going to click this Add a Listing button. What I'm going to do here is just search for the parcel associated with our previous office address. As you start to type in, you'll see any matching addresses appear in the list down below here. You'll go ahead and select the most appropriate one. I know this is the one I want to pull up. You can see I have some test properties available. Let's say you happen to go to your parcel and you discover there's not a pin there. So what I'm going to do is just go to a nearby parcel. If I hover over it, it's going to pull up a question mark instead of one of those circles with a letter indicating there's already a property record here. I can go ahead and click on that. What that's going to do is allow me to create a new property. You can assign it a category. I'm just going to keep it as land. I did add a new property for video. I'm just going to note to delete it. So our team knows that it is not live. I'm going to go ahead and create property. Once I do that, it's going to generate some information for me. Some of it pulls from the county. We do suggest rather than jumping into adding a listing, you first go through this process and fill out the required information. Depending on what the primary use of the property is, you'll change the type and that will change the different fields that are available to you to fill in down below here. I'm going to go ahead and just select retail, and then you can see now I've got some additional required fields that weren't required previously when I had just land selected. If I was to hit save here, it's going to pop up and let me know I need to make some additional changes to be able to save this new property record. As I go down, I can make some changes here. Just going to fill a few in. As I start to fill these in, that little red, the red text is going to disappear, and that lets me know that it's no longer required because it's filled in. Now that I've made those changes, I can add a photo to the property record. Once you do all of that, there's a save button here. It's letting me know that I'm submitting official change. All changes to existing and new property records do need to go through the CEBA staff first to verify. The reason for that is that we do research these properties to make sure the information within them is accurate. If there's been a substantial change or something like that that you know doesn't match the records or the county records, you can include that in your note to the researchers here. So that we can preview that information prior to reaching out to you. Typically, that may be that the building's been remeasured or that it's been demolished. Once you hit submit, that goes to a queue and allows our staff to view it. Suggested revisions to property records are approved typically within 1 to 2 hours. Again, depending on if we need more information, we might reach out to you via email, but typically those do get approved pretty quickly. I'm going to go ahead and just hit this back button here. And that's taking me back into the add a listing screen. So if I was going to search for an existing property record and need to make a change to it, I'll be able to do that here. So again, I'm just going to search for my existing property record and click the old office address there. What that does is then take me into the parcel again. I can click on my test property here. Once I click add a listing, it's going to give me a preview of my property record. Maybe there needs to be a change here. I can click this edit property record button here, and that's going to show me the property record. The screen looks exactly like it did when we created the last property record, except for that information is filled in already because someone's already created this property record. If there's ever a change you need to make here, you can erase that and add any new information. And then when you go to hit save, it'll pop up. Some of these older ones don't have all of those required fields that weren't previously required filled in. So I'm going to go ahead and fill those in. Now, when I go to hit save, that screen is going to look exactly the same. Once you've created a new property record, it then exists, and the process for making a change functions exactly the same way. I don't need to make a second change here, so I'm just going to hit cancel. And that's how you go about adding and managing property records. Thank you.